Fresh is the word.
I'm Jim Duggan, got long wood for plenty hoes. I keep it fresher than fresh, but you already know. You suckers bummy, I'm money, I got a ton of flows. My weed loud like a motherfucking thunder roll. Your shit quiet like you ballin' on a budget though. We see your kicks and we laugh and yellin' what are those. You see me shining like a suit on puffy. You know my grind and shit is too strong, buddy. That's why the dude call money. I be stuntin' like it's nothing at all. Cause it's nothing to me, it's probably something to y'all. Trying to smoke like me, then come and fuck with your dog. Got a closet full of kicks, you can't cop it them all. And I'm fresher than the freshest, you can tell it's in my essence. Bitch, you see the way I'm rapping, yes I do this shit to death. I tell I'm running out of breath, I tell somebody cut a check. But either way you know it's fresh, and either way you know it's fresh. Fresh, we fresh. Fresh, goddammit, we fresh.
Welcome to the Fresh is the Word podcast, the podcast about music, pro wrestling, and MMA. I'm your host, K Fresh. And like always, we have a great show for you this week. But before we get into it, I definitely want to talk about some friends of mine. Undeniable Press. If you need any screen printing needs, hit up Undeniable Press. They're located in the Corktown neighborhood in Detroit. So if you need any t-shirts, posters, any other little promotional items printed, they can help you. They can hook you up. You can go to facebook.com/undeniablepressdetroit and they'll be able to hook you up. And those same guys, they also run a clothing line that's pro wrestling oriented. It's called 20x20 Apparel. And they have all these great t-shirts that are nostalgia themed in the world of pro wrestling. So you can go over to their website, which is 20x20apparel.com. That's the number 20x, the number 20apparel.com. Check out their catalog. It's really dope. They have a lot of cool things. And if you want to support the Fresh is the Word podcast, you can always go to freshasthepodcast.com and just share any links from the websites on your social medias. Anywhere. I don't care. Just that would help out a lot. And you can also click on the link that says support the podcast, and there's a PayPal link you can donate to. Or if you ever do any purchases on Amazon, use the link on that page. It doesn't change anything on your end, but it does give us a little bit of commission to help out the podcast. And also you can follow the podcast on Twitter and Instagram at Fresh is the Word 1. That's Fresh is the Word, the number 1. And on Facebook at facebook.com/Fresh is the Podcast. Give us a like on there. And always feel free to retweet, reshare any of our posts on there. You can also subscribe to Fresh is the Word on iTunes and Stitcher. Then also give us a nice little comment on either of those. It'll really help us out, preferably 5 stars. So this week's podcast, we have a special guest, a huge guest, a very powerful guest. Victor Cui. He's the owner and CEO of the biggest MMA company in Asia. One Championship's next event is called Kings of Destiny, and it'll go down April 21st in Manila. And that will showcase the main event of the lightweight champion, Eduard Folayang, versus Ting. So let's get to the interview with Victor Cui from One Championship. Recently, I did catch the recent One Championship event, Warrior Kingdom. It was a fantastic event. You had Angela successfully defend her atomweight championship against Jetty Huang in a really great fight. Then also you had a few other fights where it was just like it was almost a stoppage for one fighter, only for it to be stopped later on for the other fighter. So there was like great competition, from top to bottom.
I think we had every fight was a finish except one. I think we had one that went to a decision, if I remember correctly.
Right.
It was really, really an action-packed night.
Yeah, it was definitely. And I'm here over in the States in Detroit, and so it's a 12-hour difference. So it was actually perfect timing. So I was able to wake up at 8:30 in the morning to watch the main card. So
well, thank you for having One Championship for breakfast then.
Oh, definitely. The one thing that's really refreshing about One Championship is that it doesn't thrive off of trash talking about, like, what kind of goes on here in the Western world, but it's more competition based, more respect, more the honor of martial arts. How would you describe the values of One Championship?
I think that what you see at One Championship really is a reflection of how integral martial arts is to the culture of Asians. There's a reason why families and parents continue to enroll their children into martial arts all across Asia, and the sport continues to flourish, even though it's never had traditionally the multi-billion-dollar advertising campaigns that F1 or EPL or tennis or any of those other sports have had. Yet parents continue to put their kids into martial arts because it teaches the values that everyone in the world holds true, and particularly is intrinsic to the core of Asians culturally, the values of integrity, respect, hard work, loyalty, humility. And when you look at the top Asian athletes in martial arts in Asia, they've been doing martial arts for, let's call it 10, 15 years of their life, right? Since they were 5 years old or however young it might be.
Right.
So those are the values that they grew up with. But even more so, if you've been doing something for 10, 15 years, you're a community leader in that. You've got thousands or hundreds of thousands of students that you teach in your community or have taught, anywhere from 5-year-olds to 105-year-olds.
Right.
So to represent those values of traditional martial arts, to represent that community, you take that responsibility very seriously. So I think when you see our athletes, these world champions in Muay Thai, world champions in Wushu, world champions in Taekwondo, and they've all transitioned into MMA, and they come to complete their dream, the epitome of their career, to compete in One Championship, they represent those values, and they take it seriously. So they step into the cage, they give it the very best, representing the community, and they want to showcase those values.
Yeah, definitely. And when it comes to just MMA anywhere, everybody likes to see, fighters throw a fury of punches. But what I noticed while watching Warrior Kingdom was that the crowd was really engaged anytime there was a ground game going on between the fighters. And that's something over here in the Western world can be boring at times to the audience. It's usually only the hardcore, MMA fans that might get engaged in the ground game. What is it about the culture that makes the crowd enjoy all aspects of the fight while they're watching it, whether it's on TV or in the crowd?
Well, I think the one big thing about martial arts in Asia is you don't have to teach anybody about martial arts. I mean, everyone here knows it. It's on televisions and soap operas. It's in movies. If you see two people break into a fight, in a soap opera, they start kicking each other. Everyone's like, "Oh yeah, I get it." In fact, you know what I mean? Or they might expect the person to start jumping off of walls and doing backflips.
Right.
So the expectation and the awareness of martial arts and combat sports is natural in Asia. It's the only sport that is truly Asian. So the audience are looking for reasons to engage. Now, I'd still say the ground game is still something relatively new because the majority of martial arts in Asia are stand-up based, and a big part of it is education of the crowd and an appreciation of it. But I think more importantly, our audience and our fan base, they just appreciate elite martial artists competing at the highest levels, and they recognize that.
Right. You have fighters that come from all parts of Southeast Asia, and that's pretty much the core.
All parts of Asia.
Yeah, all
across Asia.
Yeah, all across Asia, and that's the the core of this company. Is there any sort of competition that exists between all these different countries?
Oh, definitely. I mean, there's a fierce rivalry between almost every country in Asia, and no different than Soviet American kind of rivalry or friendly rivalry between Canada and the States when it comes to a hockey game. You know, so you get those kind of rivalries in almost every Asian country. There exists something like that. So when we have our local fighters representing their nation, and it's a huge rallying point for everybody in that country.
Right.
That's a big part of our fan base and why we get the best athletes in Asia, because for them, a chance to compete all across Asia representing their country is much greater and exciting opportunity for them than opposed to, even for an Asian athlete to just go compete one-off in some competition anywhere else around the world. That's not really that as appealing to them as a chance to compete with us. We've got 18 events all across Asia, so which means we keep our athletes really busy, and they get to travel around the region and become superstars in Asia. If you look at, let's take a local homegrown hero like that we've done with Angela Lee.
Yes.
She's her adapted home in Singapore. Man, she's in the newspaper here every week or every month, even when she's not fighting. So her fan base in Singapore is huge. Everybody talks about her. Everyone's looking for her. Everyone can't wait for her next fight. And that's the fan base that she's built up. Same thing with the local hero like Aung La Sang that we've built in Myanmar. Talented athlete. He's a huge hero in Myanmar. The government officials come out to watch him compete. The military brass come out to watch him compete. Fans, sponsors, corporate, everybody. Just literally, when he competed for the World Championship title a couple of months ago, I was told that in Myanmar, the streets and the businesses stopped, and everyone just were watching it on television.
Nice.
For the first time, they had a Myanmar hero, a Burmese hero, on world international TV with one championship broadcast to 118 countries, 1 billion viewers, and there he gets to represent the nation competing for a world championship.
Definitely. One of the best things that I like about ONE is the media coverage that you're able to obtain for the company and for the fighters, and how you sort of use it to build your social media presence. At any time, I can go online and search ONE Championship and be able to understand what's going on in the company at that time. How important is it for ONE Championship to have that sort of direct presence online?
Well, I would say in Asia, the digital landscape is quite advanced. In country by country, it's to different levels, but typically it's mobile first for a lot of our fan base.
Right.
So our initiatives are focused a lot on that. But one thing I think that's exciting about ONE Championship is we're more than just the sport of MMA. We're about entertainment, and we bring together so many different communities, whether it's traditional martial arts, or it's music, or it's local groups or local celebrities in every country that we go to, and local business. So it's an interesting story for a lot of media around the world to cover, because there isn't a lot of businesses that offer that, or these depths of stories with our athletes that have come from absolute poverty or orphans to then become world champions. So there's a lot of amazing stories, not only from the competition side, but from the business side of things.
Right.
We were we got nominated by CNBC for the Unicorn Award, which is recognizing companies that are valued at $1 billion or greater in Asia. We got invited to the Forbes CEO conference to speak, and that's just because we're the largest sport property in Asia to date, but we also just have a great story to tell about the opportunity in Asia and the growth of business and where sports is going in this region.
Yeah, definitely. On April 21st.
Plus, Kelly.
Go ahead.
Plus, Kelly, we got a lot of great support from guys like you.
Oh, thank you.
In the middle of the night to do stories, so I appreciate it.
Oh, no problem, man. It's an honor to talk with you, man. And I'm ever since I came across ONE Championship last year, I've been very impressed and very engaged in learning about the company. I always like I alluded to in the last question, it was like I do pay attention to your social media, and I'm able to learn about the fighters and the company through what you guys are able to facilitate online for the company and your fighters, which is really great. And what I want to and what I want to talk about next is actually okay, on April 21st at your the Kings of Destiny event in Manila, you have Eduard Folayang from the Philippines defending his one lightweight championship against Malaysia's Ting. The build-up for this fight is great already. You have Folayang, who beat an MMA legend in Shinya Aoki to fulfill his dream of becoming a champion, and then he's going against Ting, who's already had great success against Filipino fighters. You know, how's the anticipation for this fight feel from your perspective?
Well, the anticipation has been crazy. I mean, for Malaysia, this is the first time in the history of that entire country that they're going to have a fighter, an athlete, competing for a world championship title in martial arts. So the nation, the government is rallying around him, and it's just really gotten a lot of attention from there because he's long been recognized as one of the top contenders or the top-ranked fighters coming out of Malaysia. And he's an exciting fighter. And so that's what Ting brings to the table. And he's been waiting for this opportunity for a long time. When you got Folayang, on the other hand, I mean, he's a storybook story of a Filipino champion, a guy that has been working tirelessly for the last 5-6 years to become a world champion. And I can't even explain how huge of a hero he is in the Philippines to be homegrown Filipino world champion. And he was brought, for example, by Manny Pacquiao, who's one of our shareholders. He was brought by Manny Pacquiao to the Senate, and the Senate recognized him and thanked him for being a hero and a proud representative of the Philippines internationally.
Great.
In his hometown, they ran an entire parade for him. So he's a great inspirational hero, a teacher, an amazing story where he had 9 siblings and 5 of his siblings died. And now he just recently became a father. So he's just got all these great stories around him. He's a really likable guy, very humble, very pious. And so the nation has really rallied around him. So it's going to be quite interesting to see how he handles this amount of pressure on his home turf as a defending champion.
Right. One Championship does a great job of building these great positive stories and in anticipation for the main event championship fights. What's your goal in promoting these fighters that you're trying to make faces of the company?
I think, well, first of all, if we have a talented athlete, I mean, that speaks volumes on its own. And
right.
We've got some of the best athletes in Asia, the top athletes in Asia competing with us. And I would say some of our world champions are pound for pound some of the best fighters in the world. And they bring exciting fights. I think that what we work really hard to do is build these local heroes in each country for the nations to rally around. And that's why you're seeing our TV ratings be, some of the best ratings in Asia of any sport. I mean, we're beating F1 in some of our core markets. We're beating football in other markets. You're talking about the most watched television show in that country. And that's because when we air, regardless of where our event is being held, we're broadcast in that country and we're showcasing heroes for them to cheer for. So I think as we continue to do that, we continue to see the rise and the growth of One Championship, the growth of our athletes, and the growth of the sport.
Great. You mentioned, earlier about Angela Lee, and she's definitely one of the superstars of One Championship. How important is it to have someone like Angela Lee to be a strong representative of One Championship, but also be a strong presence for women's MMA for the company? Are there any obstacles that you've had to, the company have any obstacles that's been in the past in regards to making a woman fighter be a viable draw and be a face for a company in Asia?
Absolutely. I mean, the sport of MMA is still new. Although it's the fastest growing sport, I think Nielsen released a study, for example, in China that MMA is now the 3rd most popular sport in China.
Right.
So it's really growing very fast. But when you look at women's MMA, that's even younger, and there's a lot of obstacles in Asia because traditionally women haven't had these kind of opportunities. So when you get world champions like Angela Lee, or stars like we have in Malaysia with Ann Osman, who is, Ann Osman, she's a talented athlete, articulate, beautiful, friendly, just a really great representative for the sport, and she's Muslim. And so she's been able to share her story of women empowerment across Asia, that it doesn't matter what your sex is, it doesn't matter what your religion is, it doesn't matter any of those kind of things. Who you are, you can go for your dreams, and you could work hard for your dreams and be this example of empowerment for women and for anybody in Asia, for that matter, to achieve your goals and do what you want to do.
Definitely. Currently, all of your current champions are from different countries across the globe, but one is very much grounded in the cultures of Asia. How do you sort of balance being a global entity while staying to your roots in the culture that you built it on?
Well, I think there's two things. One is that everybody in the world wants to see the best Asian fighters. Like if you say to somebody, all right, who's the next world champion? And the next world champion, the next Bruce Lee is coming out of Asia. People are like, well, yeah, let me take a look at that. I want to see who the next Bruce Lee is. I want to see who the next Jackie Chan is. I want to see who the next Jet Li is. And they're coming out of Asia? Okay, I believe that. So I think globally, there's a lot of authenticity and interest in seeing what are the best martial artists in the world coming out of Asia doing, and what are they showcasing, and how are they showcasing themselves on one championship. So we have a huge global fan base like that are looking for something different. I think the second part of it is, I believe in the power of martial arts to make this world a better place. And our athletes and our competitors that we have believe in that. And it showcases itself in how we present the sport and how our athletes represent one championship. And I think people love to see that. And that was one of the first comments that you talked about. Do our competitors fiercely compete and bring their very best A game every time they step into a match? Absolutely. Do they showcase and represent the values of martial arts that we respect and love? Definitely. And people, I think, in sport have been looking for that. There's such a huge amount of respect and admiration of when you see an athlete fight their heart out for 25 minutes for a world championship fight, and the first thing they do is they hug their opponent and they go and bow to their opponent's corner and pay respect.
Right.
I remember in the championship fight when Angela Lee won a world championship, and she went to war with Mei Yamaguchi for 5 rounds. And the moment that fight finished, Mei Yamaguchi, after the winner was announced, went up to Angela, and you couldn't hear this because it wasn't on television, but I was there, and went up to her and whispered to her in the ear, "Angela, you are going to be a great world champion. Congratulations. You have a bright future ahead of you."
That's
Can you
amazing.
imagine, the humility and pride and just respect that you have for your opponent, to be able to go up to them seconds after you've lost the fight and to wish your opponent that. I mean, that's true class. But the thing is, that's not even an anomaly in our sport in one championship. You see our athletes do that over and over again. It's incredible.
Right. Yeah, it is incredible. I definitely love that aspect of one championship, is that respect right after, going to war with each other. They'll hug each other and compliment each other right after. I love seeing that. I love seeing that sportsmanship. And I wanted to switch topics for a minute, and I wanted there's a big topic that comes up that's been coming up in MMA recently, has been the practice of weight cutting. After Khabib Nurmagomedov was unable to fight in UFC 209 due to weight management issues, your VP Rich Franklin posted on Facebook about the global MMA weight and hydration system that you use in one championship where they're competing more at their natural weight. Can you elaborate the sort of weight management practices used in one championship?
Yeah, actually, it's very simple. we have a process where we don't allow weight cutting. If you're an athlete, you have to compete at what is, colloquially or everyone recognizes as your walking weight. So we monitor and we discuss with the athletes weeks and months before their fight and with their coaches and their training camp to understand what is their ideal weight that they want to compete at. And our expectation is that if you want to be an elite fighter, if you want to be the best of the best and compete in one championship, then you have to be an athlete that is dedicated to the sport 365 days of the year, which means you have to have a healthy diet, you have to have a healthy lifestyle, you have to be trained. We're not saying you have to be fight ready every single day of the week, but we're saying that we will work with you to understand what is your ideal weight to compete at so you can compete at the highest levels of your ability, at the highest levels of safety with one championship. And that's why you're seeing a finishing rate like 9 out of 10 of our fights with exciting fights that are in one championship. And that's makes for a greater competition. The fans like it, and the athletes love it. I mean, when you're around fight week with one championship, it's a completely different atmosphere because our athletes are fully hydrated and they're healthy and they're strong and they're ready to compete, and they pack their whole week with media and sponsor interviews and fan meet and greets, and they're walking around eating breakfast and having a good time, and it's just really what a great atmosphere around competition I think should be like.
Definitely. Is there anybody that's like outside of one championship that maybe you have your eye on that you kind of wish was in the company because they fit into the company's culture? Someone who, where you look at them and be like, they would probably be a good fit for one championship. Maybe they would do better and thrive more in one championship. Is there anybody specific that you see out there in a different company? And just in general, is there a way that you go out and recruit talent for the company?
Oh, there are a lot of people that fit that criteria, and I'm really thankful that we've got Matt Hume as our vice president of competition. He's one of the most recognized guys in the industry, and every coach knows him, recognizes him, respects him. There's not a gym in the world that would not answer his call. And on top of that, we've got Rich Franklin that also helps out with competition. So we've got really respected industry leaders that are driving this. The challenge that we actually have with one championship is we have too many athletes from around the world that want to compete with us. I mean, every week I've got hundreds of emails. I can't even check my Facebook, or my Twitter DMs, and just from coaches and fighters and managers from Russia to Poland to Africa
Right.
to Canada, U.S., just everybody that wants to come out here to Asia and compete. So the challenge that we actually have is sorting through that and understanding who really wants to make a future in Asia and who would be exciting for a global audience, and would make sense for our organization.
Right. The names of each event are very interesting. Like the last one's Warrior Kingdom, and the next one is Kings of Destiny on April 21st in Manila. What's the idea behind the naming of each of the events?
Well, I think that one, we just really like to show that every time we come to a different country, because you have to remember, we're about 18 events this year, but it's not like we're holding all of our events in the same country and just moving to different states. We're going to different countries. And each country has a different religion, different government, different language, different culture, everything. So we want to always showcase that when we are bringing another unique event where we've built our title around the fight card or around the history of that nation to showcase and pay homage to that country, and bring our particular unique flavor of one championship to every country that we go to.
Definitely. Well, one does respect MMA as a competition. It's all very much entertainment also and a televised product. I've noticed that on, one's events, there's great attention to detail with the televised product. One thing that I noticed is like the camera changes seem to be a bit quicker than what you might see in the UFC or Bellator. Something more akin to what you see like in movies or TV shows. What do you do to keep the televised product interesting throughout the telecast?
But we're continually trying to improve that and build it. And of course, we're making a product for a global audience. I think that one of the unique challenges with One Championship is because our broadcast reach in Asia is so deep and so strong. Like there's no other sport in Asia that has the kind of television coverage that One Championship has. We're on television every week. We're on free-to-air. We're on cable. We're ubiquitous in Asia, which is why some of the biggest brands in the region are working with us: Disney, Facebook, LG, Panasonic, Casio. I mean, all these blue-chip brands that are working with us because of our television reach. And we've got a phenomenal production team that works really hard to make sure we're delivering world-class content everywhere we go. But I think in general, our style is maybe more similar to what you would see in a real cinematic entertainment feel is what we like. You know,
Right.
We really believe in not just delivering just sport, but as I said earlier, sport entertainment. And that's why we integrate music and pyro and lights and sound, all this kind of stuff into our show.
Right. And from that production standpoint, what does One Champion do to sort of make the event come alive when you're actually at the event, in the arena, cage side, in attendance? You know, what do you do to sort of always make it vibrant and interesting for all those people that are at the actual event?
It depends on which country that we're at. So our last event in Bangkok, we had two of the top, biggest hip-hop acts and music acts that were performing there. So that really brought the distinct Thai flavor. We had Titanium, a Thai rap group, and they performed a song. And they performed that song, for example, while the world is on commercial break. They performed a song in stadium, and then that transitioned into the entrance music for one of the Thai fighters. So we seamlessly integrated it into the show, to make it exciting for the local audience, and then it's something a little different from the TV product. And then country to country, we might showcase the local sport or a local artist. So in Singapore, our last event, there's a hugely famous singer called Nathan Hartono, and he sang the national anthem there. So we really find ways to make it creative for our local fan base.
Great. To kind of, wind down on this interview, what future goals does One Championship have at this point to continue to keep the ball rolling on already huge advances that you've already made the past couple years?
Well, I would still think I still think we're in the early days of our business. We've got a long way to go from where I think the company can be and where the sport can be. There's a lot of growth. We've just opened up offices in China, so we're going to continue to expand there. We're going to continue to expand around the region. We get offers from countries all around the world and asking us to hold events there. Everything from Russia and Kazakhstan to Brazil and Canada. So we're continually exploring those opportunities of what's going to make sense for us.
Definitely. All right, Victor, it's been great talking with you. It's been an honor. Thanks for doing this interview for my podcast. Where can anybody, if they want to go online, find out more information about One Championship?
Absolutely. Be sure to visit our website, onefc.com, and or follow me on Twitter at Victor1FC. Kelly, I really appreciate your time. This was great questions, an exciting interview, and I look forward to doing it again.
Oh, definitely. And once again, man, thank you for taking the time out.
Awesome. Thank you. Take care.
You too. Have a good day. So that was my interview with Victor Cui from One Championship. He was super nice to talk to, and people label him the most powerful man in Asian MMA. So it was an honor to be able to talk with someone like that. So hopefully we'll be able to get more guests involved into the One Championship realm here on the Freshest Word podcast. And now, like always, I'm joined with my guest host, pro wrestling and MMA connoisseur, Detroit hip-hop artist, and proud Marine, Vstylez. What up?
What's going on, Kelly? You good, man?
I'm good, man. I'm good.
Before we Before we start the show, I want to give a quick condolences for Jim Ross's wife, who passed in an accident on her scooter. She passed probably about 2 hours ago. And Jim Ross is WWE Hall of Famer, probably the greatest announcer, wrestling-wise, of all time. And he just lost his wife. I just want to send, condolences to him. I met him a couple times. He's a real good guy.
Oh, definitely. That's really sad that what happened. And Jim Ross is such a good guy, man, and it's.
I literally grew up watching this guy from a kid, and I'm still listening to him now. The way I remember when he was a slim guy, to where, everything started happening for him fast, and then he had a stroke. He had to rehabilitate that stroke with one side of his face not being, not moving.
Right.
You have strokes, you lose some motor skills, man. But he recovered, maybe not physically like we all are, man, but he still was Jim Ross. And
he's still sharp as ever,
Yeah. So, that's, for me, that's pretty sad, man. You never want to see anybody go through something like that, especially when you're talking about your spouse.
Right, and yeah, Jim Ross is such a genuinely good, cool guy, who loves the business. So it just, it's a bummer that his wife passed away. Definitely condolences to the family, friends of Jr. Jim Ross.
Yeah, good old Jr.
Yeah. He just made a Twitter post probably about 4 hours ago. A priest gave my wife Jan her last rites tonight. My little angel is gone.
Wow. Yeah, definitely sad, man. Definitely sad. But want to shout that out to him. So condolences from Fresh is the Word podcast. Straight up.
Definitely. Yep, we're on the. Speaking of wrestling, we are currently in the middle of the road to WrestleMania, and we've been talking about. It seems like everything that we kind of assumed was going to happen has been happening. All the matches that seem to be happening are happening. Looks like we are going to be getting the AJ Styles versus Shane McMahon match. I didn't get to watch the full SmackDown Live this week because I was actually at the Fisher Theater seeing Rent, which was awesome.
Mm-hmm. Really? Where'd you go see it at?
At the Fisher Theater.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. You ever seen the movie Rent?
I know it was a movie. I'm not really familiar with it. Was it like a musical?
Yeah, it's a musical.
Okay.
There was and they did a movie for it also. Back.
Yeah.
And this their tour now is celebrating the 20th anniversary of it. And I've watched the movie like a ton of times, but I realize this is the first time seeing it on stage, and like the stage version kind of accentuates and details things a lot more than
in the actual movie.
In the movie, like pretty much everything's the same. It just some things I felt like in the movie almost got a little maybe watered down a little bit. I think on the stage show they sort of bring it home a lot clearer, and I enjoyed that a lot more. I was just like, oh, okay, I like the way it's more direct on stage. So I definitely had a great time.
So it's basically similar to, like I've seen Phantom of the Opera, the movie.
Yeah.
But then I've seen Phantom of the Opera, the play.
Yeah.
And if you go to Toronto's Phantom of the Opera, like he goes on tour, and you might be in New York one week, and then it might be in Detroit next week. But in Toronto, Phantom of the Opera, the set is literally set up for what they're trying to get across. and I appreciated the play more than I did the movie. So I definitely can relate to you on that. I'm gonna check Rent out, man. But I was familiar with it, but I've never, taken time out to even look at it. But
Oh yeah, it's
if you
good.
say it's dope, I'm gonna fuck with it.
Yeah, it's dope. Even the movie is really good. It's just like the stage show. It accentuates a lot of things much better, and it was a blast. I had a lot of fun at it.
Man, you know what? I'm still look. Oh man, a couple of things to talk about, man. A couple of things. I kind of want to do. Can we do pro wrestling first and MMA last?
Yeah, that's where I was kind of going with everything. So
okay.
Let's talk about wrestling first.
All right. Look, you know how hard I've been on the Usos. I haven't been no fan of the Usos. Still,
right.
I'm not necessarily a fan of the Usos, but I do like the new music.
Yeah.
I do like the fact that they don't come out chanting that shit. I mean, no diss to their heritage, but they don't come out chanting that shit no more. They don't do the whole Uso shit no more. Now it's business. Let's get in there and let's fuck some shit up.
Right.
I like that. Those are the type of tag teams and those are the type of wrestlers that I like. Now, I don't like the fact that they're in there with AF1s on. But I like their new gear. It's more hard. It suits them. And they just got the straps back, man. And you never thought I didn't think we was gonna see the straps on them anytime soon, man, because their popularity, it fell off because it got dull. With the new reinvention of the Usos, man, hopefully we can see. I mean, because they're definitely a talented tag team, and hopefully we see some great matches in the future from them as far as them defending them belts, because I do kind of think that American Alpha was kind of pushed quickly.
Yeah, they were.
And I think they got dull super quick.
Yeah.
They do the same shit every week. As great as it is, it's the same shit. And I'm not into the dudes that smile and having fun. I mean, it's cool to have fun, man, but fuck the fans, man. It ain't about the fans. It's about, not literally fuck the fans, but
right. I don't
want to see you shaking hands and all that crazy shit.
I think there's in regards to American Alpha, I feel like I think they got pushed too quick on the main roster, but I think what would help them
needed. Like
I think what would help them in the future is if they were able to get like paired up with somebody that's similar to them, like a Kurt Angle or a Shelton Benjamin, to sort of do something where like that's their mentor type thing, and where they kind of have to go through like a range of emotions and stuff with this person, like this is their leader or whatever, or like they're like going back to like kind of having like, if you go back to like collegiate like wrestling and stuff like that.
Oh, indeed.
Like
indeed.
That sort of thing, where your coach is like hard on you and stuff like that. Like that would kind of be cool and bring some character to American Alpha.
I heard the craziest fucking rumor this week. I read a story, and the story basically said that Kurt Angle was supposed to come back, and he was supposed to be Jack Swagger's manager. And like back when they were pushing Jack Swagger to become the champion before he got caught with the DUI and all that crazy shit, which really kind of messed his career up with the WWE, got in the doghouse, and now he's been released from his contract, and he's about to start doing some independent work. So I always liked that dude. Can you imagine if they would have brought Kurt Angle in to mentor him with the whole We the People? I mean, that would have. I just think that would have because he's a talented guy, man. But
Yeah.
I just think he missed his mark, man. You know, what's funny is people get in trouble oh yeah, we're gonna talk about this shit too. But people get in trouble all the time for doing crazy shit, and they don't get punished for the crazy shit that they do. I think a DUI for a young dude who's living life, he could have used that as a stepping stone or a lesson
Right.
to become a better man, man. Sometimes, the experience is the lesson, and that lesson makes you a better person because you don't want to go through that negativity again, man. So I kind of think the WWE dropped the ball by not pushing him the way that he should have been pushed. And, he did some things, from what I read that, wasn't necessarily the best, but I attribute that to him being a kid, man. But could you have imagined Kurt Angle come back way back in the day when that kid first got on the scene? I've always rooted for him. For some reason, I like Jack Swagger, man, and he's going to be successful wherever he goes. I watch Raw literally, and I think we go through this every week. I don't get happy until Chris Jericho comes on, man. I just do not.
Dude.
Like, everything is dull to me until the Ayatollah of rock and roller comes on.
This week he literally put in 20 years of catchphrases into one segment. And it was amazing.
That was great.
I was like, oh my goodness, dude. Like,
look, when he gets to the point where he gets to talking shit and then he just says, cheer me on, man. How do you not like that shit as a wrestling fan? Like, yeah, we go, people don't cherish the people when they're around, man, but we gonna miss him when he stopped being as active as he is.
Right now, the babyface Chris Jericho is actually really amazing.
Man, it's the greatest. Like, he can really, he can have a title run right now, a world championship title run, with how over he is with the audience.
Man,
it's
right.
When you see him in there, just, for wrestlers, and I don't mean this to slight anybody, but for wrestlers, the wrestling probably is the easy part.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
To have, I'll say a good 50, 60% got decent mic skills. But then you get to the upper 90, 95% and 100% to where it's certain people that all they have to do is talk. They ain't got to perform, because the talking is the performing for the fans, man. That dude got in the ring and got to talking shit. And it was like, how do you not cheer for this dude, man? This dude is like, he's the GOAT. He getting pretty close to Jake Roberts, man. I'm a Jake Roberts fan, man. But he's getting like, I'm a Chris Jericho dude, man. That dude, because he rocks out in the ring. His skills are still the same. He still does the Lion Salt, Walls of Jericho. Now, he'll slow down a little bit, but he still do the same shit that he was doing when we was kids looking at this shit.
Right, yeah.
And he in his mid-40s. So I roots for the OGs, goddammit. And I fucks with Chris Jericho. And if you don't, you know what happens to people that don't fuck around with Chris Jericho?
Click, click.
You are right. Look, when you see the click, click, and you see the pause, to see the intensity of the fans waiting on him to say that, bro. And dude, man, yeah, dog, yeah. I'm telling you, people gonna miss him after WrestleMania.
It's funny, like
They gonna miss.
you can kind of like it's like terribly noticeable, like sort of like the in-ring presence that some of these guys have when you have people like Chris Jericho, and then also when you have Triple H in the ring doing what they do. Like these guys are like,
Triple H is great too.
yeah, like the past couple of weeks, whenever he comes in the ring, it's just like, by God, like this guy he's so good at being Triple H that you're
Exactly.
like shit, dude. Like,
Because that's the shit that we love. That's like, don't get me wrong, the Hunter Hearst Hensley guy was cool, bow and all that shit, man. But
yeah.
you know, after a while, it could just be a little cliche, man. When he reinvented himself and called himself Triple H, dude gave himself initials. Are you fucking kidding me? Yeah. What does Matt Hardy refer him to?
Oh,
the man with the 3 H's.
the man with
Oh man, you gotta love it, man. You gotta love it. But yeah, you're 100% right, man. Triple H, you know, people can say what they want, man, but he's one of the greatest, man. He's one of the greatest, and you know, I find myself rooting for him, you know, when he's, you know, active. I like Triple H, the wrestler, the badass, because you know what you're getting. Hunter, the CEO, I love the shit he do in NXT.
yeah.
But him being, you know, I love this time of the year because this is what we go get from Triple H. We know he's coming back twice a year, WrestleMania and SummerSlam. Boom. And then he puts the suit on for the rest of the year. Yeah, I want to see him win at WrestleMania. I don't see how Seth wins this fight. I don't see it. You know, you coming back from a crazy injury, man. I've had MCL surgery. MCL surgery is a little. I had MCL and ACL surgery, and the MCL is on the side of your leg. It's on the side of your knee.
Yeah.
And that's a pain you can't even describe if you move the wrong way. So you talking about a dude that got hurt, what, in February?
Yeah.
April was cutting it real close. So I hope we get a chance to see something, but if he's not 100%, you know, replace him with Finn Balor. Do something, you know, do a spin on it. Do something different, man. But remember, the fans want to see something. You know, fans want to see this WrestleMania, man. It's the biggest show of the year. You know, this is a show that everybody look forward to. I've seen them all. Never missed a WrestleMania. I've been at 3-4 WrestleManias. I was at WrestleMania 3. I was at WrestleMania 2 and Chicago Rosemont. I was at Ford Field a couple years back. And what's the other one that I went to? I want to say LA, man, but I've been to a couple WrestleManias, man, and for fans, like, it don't get no better than this, man. It's not just wrestling; it's an event. It's a spectacle. So when it gets time for the show, you know, give me some Finn Balor. We know Finn Balor is back. Wouldn't it be dope if Finn Balor went against Triple H, you know, to replace Seth Rollins? That would be super dope. If they've been doing it dark match wise,
Right.
Why can't they do it, you know, on a stage like WrestleMania? I don't think you would hurt, you know. You can create a new storyline, you know, that will go with Seth Rollins still trying to go for the championship.
Yeah. I just hope there's
You
some
know,
sort of kind of storyline swerve either before WrestleMania or at WrestleMania that like we don't know about that hasn't been a rumor or something like that. Like, it would be cool if there is some sort of surprise.
Well, I want to, are we going to see Sami Zayn versus Samoa Joe again?
I think so. Maybe.
Oh man, you know, I know Sami Zayn is one of them good guys, and the kids, and I get all that, man. But he don't do it for me as a professional wrestler. Samoa Joe, on the other hand, he come out with a towel around his neck with hip hop music playing in the background. No smiling, no none of that. He just want to fuck you up, and that's what life is really all about. You want to fuck your opposition up, and even in the pretend land like wrestling, you want to, I want to see, like, I've never been a dude who want to see a dude smile and fuck all that. No, whoop his ass.
Right.
I get a chance to live through you wishing that was me whooping somebody's ass right now, sadistically, like, Samoa Joe is that guy. I fucks with Joe, man. I really hope he wins a Universal title or a WWE title, man. He deserves that.
Yeah, well, I don't see that actually that match has been actually signed for WrestleMania. I don't see that Samoa Joe actually has a match official yet for WrestleMania. So I'm not sure if, like, I would be hard pressed to say that they continue doing that thing with him and Sami Zayn at WrestleMania. But
yeah, why couldn't it be Samoa Joe versus Finn Balor?
Something. Oh, we can go back to that.
Are you know what I'm saying? You feel me, right? Why couldn't it be that type shit? Like
what if
it gotta be fucking epic.
What if, like, Finn Balor comes back as like the sort of antithesis, like the antithesis. I can't even say that word, but
anticipated.
No, I can't even say the word I'm gonna say, but he's sort of like it's such a hard word, but if he's sort of like he's going against the sort of stable that Triple H is sort of building right now.
Exactly.
He's
That's
part
exactly
of that.
what I was thinking.
And maybe he does sort of loosely align with Seth Rollins, and I don't know. We'll see what his actual role is going to be once he comes back. But yeah, because that would actually kind of fit, but we'll see.
It would fit perfectly. You don't want to put somebody like Seth Rollins back in there too early to fuck his leg up more than what it already's fucked up. And now you're out of one of your premier wrestlers because you wanted to push him back quick. Let that dude heal, man. We still got another big pay-per-view. We got SummerSlam. But let him heal right, man. I just, it's tragic for us as fans to keep seeing this dude get injured. And he always gets injured around the most important part of the season, per se, for wrestling. I want to see him on the biggest stages, whether it's win or lose, but I know his talent says he should be on the biggest stage, and to not see that, man, we lose out as fans, So, I hope he's if he is wrestling, which I think he is, I hope he's healthy, but it ain't gonna be easy. It ain't gonna be easy.
Right. Moving on to another wrestling topic. I guess it has been confirmed that WWE has offered contracts to both Matt and Jeff Hardy. It looks like, from what's being talked about, is that they do want to keep a part-time schedule, but WWE wants them full-time. And then there's still, like, the question between the litigation of the broken gimmick that's still going on. So that's why it's still.
He can get around that, though.
Oh yeah.
He can get around. He can get around it. When you're talking about, they talking about they own like you can't own you can own and trademark a name. So he may not be broken Matt Hardy, but he is still Matt Hardy of the
Right.
Hardy Boys. He still could be broken Matt Hardy, talk the same type shit.
Right.
Have the fans do what they normally do, delete, chant, and he still can do all that same shit, and it's still not gonna fucking matter because the fans know what's up, and the fans will go along with what they're doing. Without, like, the WWE will never say broken Matt Hardy. That they're not gonna do that. They're not into getting sued. But there's a way you can work a character without saying I'm that person. So believe me, they go come back and they go do the same shit, and we as fans are waiting on it. I hope they go to SmackDown. I just think that brand is more exciting, especially for them. And if they do come back to WWE, please, I would hope that the WWE would not change what's going on right now, because these dudes have reinvented themselves. And, like, for us to see, like, what's going on with these dudes right now in their careers, when we've been watching them 15 plus years on some other shit, now they reinvented. It's like, I compare this to Hulk Hogan switching from Hulk Hogan to Hollywood Hogan.
Yeah.
I wasn't a Hulk Hogan fan. I've never been a Hulk Hogan fan per se. I loved Hollywood Hogan. I love those type wrestlers, man. I've always been a bad guy. So I love Hollywood Hogan. I wasn't a big Hardy Boy fan. I loved them wrestling wise.
Yeah, I did too, but I wasn't like a huge fan of theirs, but I did enjoy them.
I felt like they always did great matches, and they were going to put, especially Matt. Matt wasn't the one that was really pushed like Jeff was. Jeff was the high flyer, and Jeff was the more popular Hardy at a certain point in their WWE career.
Yeah.
Or WWE career. And Matt Hardy come from behind. Now, he still got his accolades, but he still wasn't as popular as his brother. He reinvented himself, man, and became more popular than his brother. And it's probably the hottest character that's in wrestling right now.
Oh, definitely. Definitely. I feel like back in the
seeing it live, bro.
Yeah, and I feel like back in the day, like with the with all the crazy matches that the Hardys did, that they had to like go to those extreme levels to get over, to win fans and everything, because they didn't necessarily have. They had the look, they had the work in the ring,
the charisma, the mic skills.
Yeah,
I think they were missing mad mic skills, because they were bland on the mic.
They were.
Nothing that was over the top. There was nothing that was great, but you respected them as the Hardy Boys because they were great in the fucking ring. So I guess we gave them a pass because they were that good in the ring.
Oh yeah, definitely. That was definitely the thing. They had to like literally go to these extreme levels to get over, at the detriment of almost like their bodies and stuff. You saw all their contemporaries at the time, people like Edge and Christian, who actually had to like retire early because of the same shit that they were doing. And it's even surprising that the Hardy Boys are even still around. Like when you go look back at some of the matches that they've had back in the day with, the likes of like Edge and Christian, among others, So it's like it's lucky that they're still around, but to be able to sort of like finally, reinvent yourself in a certain way to where you finally have those It's like you've cracked the code in regards to your mic skills and what fits for you, you know, and that's what they're finally able to do. And like, yeah, and this is like pretty much the first time in their careers where like Matt's the more popular one.
And to me, he was never a popular dude, and to see him now, it's like, wow, man, it's pretty fucking amazing, man. Pretty fucking amazing, man. So, yeah, I'm at all of what these dudes have been able to do. You know what's funny? Mo is the one to turn me on to the reinvention of Matt Hardy. He was like, "B, man, you seen Broken Matt Hardy? You seen Broken Matt Hardy?" I'm like, Matt Hardy from WWE? He was like, yeah, man. He was like, B,
you gotta watch this.
He on a whole nother level now. He would say this shit to me for the longest. And then when I finally seen it, I was like, man, this dude is on to something, man. And then to see the fan, like, when you win us, you win, period.
Right.
And I just want them to have that moment here in the WWE where I could hear 15, 20,000 just, you know, delete. I can hear it. You know what I'm saying?
It's already happening. I can hear.
It's already fucking happening.
It's already happening. I can hear the echoes of it right now, man. It's gonna happen, man. It's.
What? Look. This is the scary part, though. What happens when the fans, first off, know that they're in the WWE, and when they make their fucking first appearance, and that the appearance is so powerful, does the WWE run with that shit, or do they put them in a position to put other people over? If they do the latter, they're failing. They're failing miserably.
See, that's what they did with the Dudleys. Do you remember when the Dudleys came back? They had probably one of the biggest pops in years when they came back. And they put them in that position to get other people over, even though they were so over from the beginning when they came back.
That shit is whack. If they do anything other than putting them over, it's whack as fuck. Or, I mean, they're already over. But if they do anything other than pushing them to the top, it's like, it's a fail. It's a fucking fail. How do you not push that? How do you not push that?
Right. No,
dude.
I hope when I hope if they actually are able to come to terms with WWE and they come back, that they come back as an important thing for the company and not just to get over like a really suffering tag team division, you know? So hopefully, I don't know, we'll see.
I would hope they don't fuck that up, man. Dude, but why am I about to buy a Chris Jericho hoodie that says you just made the list?
Because you're not a stupid idiot.
I'm not a fucking stupid idiot, man. Yeah, man.
All right.
Dude. On the WWE shop zone, they have a picture of Chris Jericho and fucking KO. Remember the picture that he had in the ring with him with KO double crossing?
Yeah.
It looked like they selling that shit on
Wait, the painting? The painting?
They selling the painting, but they selling it as a poster.
Oh my! I didn't even know they were actually doing. Dude, that's genius.
Oh yeah, dog. It is fucking. I'm looking at it like this is great. Like wow. Let me ask you a question. Would you think I'm crazy if I was to buy a replica belt?
I don't know, man. Like, I don't know, man.
I'm actually thinking about that shit, man. I'm sitting up here looking.
Well, I think you should, man. You can have it in all your videos coming up.
You see, You get it. You
right.
get it.
Like, see, there's a use for it.
That's what I'm trying to see, and that's what I'm. Yeah. You get it.
Definitely.
You fucking get it.
Definitely. But let's turn to the world of MMA. Right now, we're getting a nice little 3-week break from the UFC, which...
Thank you! Woo!
Like, when it comes down to it, there is too many events, man. And, like, these little breaks are actually very welcomed. And, like...
Yeah,
Like we get a break from UFC. There's a break from Bellator right now, so it's just like, all right, cool, man. Like everybody can sort of catch their breath on things, you know, and sort of like, you know, actually anticipate something, you know, while not talking about it. Sometimes it just can be a little bit too much. You know, even with just those two companies, you know, if you're paying attention to it, you can be like, oh shit, there's another. Oh man, but I will say that this past UFC Fight Night that was just available on Fight Pass was actually a really good card when it came down to watching it. You know,
okay.
A lot of people were just like, oh, that's a pretty lackluster card, but it was. I don't know. The main card just had like four fights, which one of them was the retirement fight for Brad Pickett, and
yeah,
it was all in all. I really enjoyed what I definitely enjoyed is like there was a different a different commentating team because it was out in I believe it was out in the UK. So you had a whole just British commentating team this time. You had Dan Hardy and I forget who else. Let me see.
Is Dan Hardy coming back? I know he got cleared.
I think so. I'm not sure yet. Oh yeah, it was at the O2 Arena and I'm not sure. I haven't heard anything definite in regards to Dan Hardy yet. But yeah, you had Brad Pickett, his retirement fight. He went against Marlon Vera, who stepped in the last minutes, pretty much. 'Cause I forget who the previous opponent was for Pickett's farewell song. But it looks like Pickett was actually winning the fight, but then Marlon Vera came with TKO'd him in the third round. It was a pretty...
Wait. You know what? And I know we in MMA right now, but we didn't talk about what we should have talked about wrestling wise.
Man, I don't want to talk about that. I don't want to talk about it. I'm trying to have a little bit more of a family friendly show this week. I know we've been cursing and stuff, but I'm trying to have a little family. Like,
dude, I'm dying right now.
I'm trying to have a little bit of a family friendly, and that subject, you know, it's her privacy. It got.
This is great.
It's her privacy. So keep it to her. We don't need to talk about it. It's been talked about to death. I know what you're talking about. And don't think I didn't think about it, but I was like, you know what? I don't want to go there. You know, that's...
Oh, man. You know what, Kelly? You have just made this entire segment with that statement. Thank you. Thank you. I needed that. That shit was great. Yeah, man. Bring it in, man. Yeah.
But anyways,
that's the Brandon Pickett.
Oh Lord.
I'm sorry, people. Oh, I'm sorry.
Anyway,
continue, Kelly.
What? All right.
go ahead and continue, my friend. I'm sorry.
It's all good. But no, as I was saying, just this recent UFC card was actually really enjoyable. We've talked about this before, and what I mentioned, and I texted you earlier today when I was saying that on MMA Hour this week, Lorenz Larkin was talking about a lot of stuff in regards to things that we talk about on here. And
I didn't even hear it, but go ahead and rehash it. Tell me what he said.
One of the things he was talking about is that once they're kind of talking about him going to Bellator and everything, you have your whole like casual UFC fan that's all about UFC, like talking about how like Bellator is like sort of like
second rate
and stuff like that. When it's just like if you love a fighter, you should be able to like just like want everything for them, and if they are able to get more money somewhere and be respected somewhere else, you should be happy for them. And if these other companies are able to come up, that's better for fighting in general, And what I liked about this last UFC card though was that it just seemed more like for your I guess you'd say your hardcore MMA fan, but this definitely wasn't a card for your casual fan. This is for someone who just like good fights, and that's what I enjoyed about it. There wasn't any big, pageantry or big hype or anything. It was just good fights,
It's just a card.
It was just a card. It was good fights, and
that's when it's its best, when it's only a card. When you start and that's one of the things that I love about other promotions, whether it be regional, whether it be your cage championships, cage fighter championships, whether it be, you'll be amazed. You go to these cards, and you don't know any of the fighters, but you enjoy the card so much because it was just exciting. What happened to it being about supporting the fighters instead of supporting that one or two people that you're promoting throughout the whole card?
Right.
So yeah, I feel you on that shit. I feel you on that.
But the funny thing is like this past UFC Fight Night card, and like I said, it was just aired on Fight Pass, but it had there's so many conclusions to these fights that actually, like, it seemed like they could make a difference to what's going on in the future. You had Jimmy Manuel win, and you had Gunnar Nelson win, and you had Arnold Allen win, and you had Mark DeCasey win, and it's put in some good light into these fighters to be able to sort of to have them an argument to get better fights in the future. Then you have someone like Joe Duffy, who's this was his last fight on his UFC contract, so he's going to actually be
he about to test the waters.
So yeah, he's about to test the waters. He won this last fight, unanimous decision, 30-27 across the board. So now he's going to be able to test the waters. Like, that's what I liked so much about this card was it was a card, and I felt like it meant something. There are so many fights that actually meant something to where these fighters are going. So it was really enjoyable.
I keep telling people all the time that Bellator is about to play. Like, Bellator right now is resembling Strikeforce so much right now. And in a minute, you're going to see something change. I don't know who, but you're going to see somebody change the face of promotion-wise when you're talking about MMA. Bellator, you can no longer look at them really as second tier. I get the whole UFC thing and blah, 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 blah. But today they, announced Ryan Bader that just came over. Light heavyweight division. He's probably going to get an immediate title shot against Phil Davis. We got a Lorenz Larkin coming back essentially home. And when I say home, not Bellator, but coming to work for Scott Coker. Scott Coker is quiet guy. It's my opinion, quiet guy. I met him several times. He's a quiet guy. The only thing I haven't done is got a pick with him, and I'm gonna do that shit probably next week when we get there. But I met him a couple times. He's a quiet guy, and he just does business. It was a reason where it was when UFC bought Strikeforce. It was a reason that they kept Scott Coker on contract. And when that contract finally ended, that's when he, Bjorn was outed and he was brought in. So, dealing with a lot of Bellator guys, especially when one of your tightest friends, is one of the main fighters, you kind of see what's going on. And I remember him building Strikeforce to where it was competitive against UFC. And if you look at UFC right now, Daniel Cormier.
Yeah, that's what,
I know she.
Yeah, that's what Lance Larkin was talking about on MMA Hour. He's like, how can it's like you had all these fighters that came from Strikeforce that are now the people who
are the main guys,
are the faces of UFC. And so
those
it's
are
like
Scott Coker's fighters,
right? So it's just like you can't really downplay Bellator as a second rate.
You can't.
When the guy who put out all these guys, all these fighters who are now the face of the UFC, it's like you pretty much know, he knows what he's doing,
That's what I'm saying. That's what Loren said.
Yeah.
Look, and me, I haven't even heard the interview, and he's 100% correct.
Yeah, he said that one of the reasons why he went over to Bellator is that there was another contract on the table from UFC, but he felt like there was a lot more respect, and he felt like he was there was a place for him at Bellator, and there was just a lot of little things. Like he said, his management was going back and forth with Bellator in regards to contract, but when he finally stepped in to actually talk with Scott Coker and everything, they talked for only. He said they literally talked for like 40 minutes, only 40 minutes, and they were able to get to sort of an agreement that he wanted to come over to Bellator. So he felt there was this respect, and there's these little things that he said that that Bellator was gonna do that made the decision clear. Like when they announced the that he signed, they let his hometown newspaper, Riverside, like do the actually make the announcement. It's little things like that. And there's like
UFC would have never did that.
Right.
UFC would, and see, people don't realize Bellator got way more money than the UFC because they're a company of Viacom. Viacom owns Bellator.
Right.
So what Bellator hasn't had are, for the most part, names. If you want to be real, when Mo was a Strikeforce fighter, and UFC purchased Strikeforce, he became a Zuffa employee, and he calls a Nevada athletic commissioner, basically a racist bitch for saying condescending things in his opinion. At that time, Mo spoke how he felt. And here is, you got a guy like Dana White. I guess I'm about to get into my bash and shit, but here you got a guy like Dana White who has said a lot of vulgar shit on Twitter, but you terminate my boy's contract. It was what he did was a way for you to get rid of his contract because Strikeforce was paying Mo, significant, bread or whatnot. And you tell Mo apologize, and we'll get everything straight. Mo goes on record to apologize to her on Twitter, and then Dana calls him back and says, okay, well, we have to come back to the table in a couple months, da 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 da. And that was strictly to get rid of his contract because he was making a lot of bread. They want to bring a motherfucker in at 35 and 35 instead of bringing him in at 80 to 100. And as a fighter, your window is super short, super small. So the goal as a fighter, especially if you're a professional fighter, you're a prize fighter, which means you fight for money. That's what prize fighting is. Not just boxing, but when you're fighting, period. It's prize fighting. You go get that prize at the end of the fight if you're the winner. So most fighters, they're so caught up in the whole alphabet game. I need to be in UFC. I need to be in UFC. I need to be in UFC. But then you get that whole ass contract of, okay, you get 10 to show. You get 10 to show up, 10 to win, and you're not even gonna be on the TV prelims. You're just gonna be on the regular prelims. So you have a 10 and 10 contract. So if you lose, you only get 10 grand. Most training camps cost more than $10,000. A good training camp costs more than that. So is the guy who took the 10 grand and didn't win and only had 10 grand, is he the real winner when he's really not going to have any money when it's all said and done?
Right.
You have to fight for your worth, and most fighters don't know their worth because they're so concerned with being only in the UFC instead of saying, hey, you know what? These dudes over here paying me $250 grand to fight. I'll make my own way over here. So you got to make your own way, man. And people get caught up in the whole alphabet game. You have successful fighters that are in Bellator. You have successful fighters that are in ONE FC. You have successful fighters that are in World Series of Fighting, man. But because the UFC is considered the premier, then if you're not, or at least in the casual fan's mind, if you're not fighting over there, then you're second tier, which is bullshit. Because if you look at your previous champions from the last 3-4 years, talking about Fabricio Werdum, you talking about Daniel Cormier, you talking about Ronda Rousey, you talking about Luke Rockhold, you talking about Robbie Lawler, you talking about a lot of fucking people that we're talking about. They weren't UFC fighters. They may have been in the past, but they got fired for whatever reason. They went to other promotions to recreate themselves and become better fighters. You talk about Nick Diaz. Nick Diaz is not he's Strikeforce champion, but he's one of the faces over at UFC. Alistair Overeem, Strikeforce heavyweight champion, but he's one of the faces in the heavyweight division in UFC. That's why he get paid what he get paid. Mark Hunt, Pride. They didn't even want to get this dude. They wanted to buy him out of his contract. He was like, no, I want to fight through my contract. Now he's getting big bread because he fought through his contract and didn't listen to the whole ass shit that they was telling him.
Right.
So when you look at what's really going on, UFC really don't have what's his name? Stiopicek?
Oh,
Stiopik?
Yeah. Miocic.
Okay.
Yeah. Stipe Miocic.
Okay, Miocic is a UFC fighter. Daniel Cormier is a Strike Force fighter, world champion. Teron Woodley is a Strike Force fighter, world champion. Connor is a UFC fighter. Let's see. Ronda Rousey was a Strike Force fighter who never fought for a world. Well, she fought for a world championship one time against Amanda, Nunes, and we've seen what happened with that. But she was given a championship. She wasn't a champion. She was given a championship because she came for Strike Force and they purchased her, her contract. Chris Cyborg, to me, the most popular female fighter and the most, when you're talking about respect-wise, when you're talking about female fighters, she is number one across the board, Strike Force champion. Now she's a champion over at Invicta, and she's soon to be featherweight champion over here in UFC. These are not Dana's fighters. These fighters came from different organizations, and they are now winning. Prior to losing to Conor McGregor, Eddie Alvarez was world champion over in Bellator. So I get so tired of hearing, I had these little conversations with people, and they think they know shit, but, they don't know shit. They don't know shit about, boxing, nor do they know shit about MMA. And they can't tell you where Daniel Cormier come from. All they know is he UFC light heavyweight champion. They can't tell you shit about Luke Rockhold. They can't tell you shit about Jacare. They can't tell you shit about people I've been watching before they were on television. I've been watching these dudes when they weren't main event people, when they were barely prelims people, and now they're running the game. They may be in UFC, but these people weren't raised up in UFC. They come from other promotions. So Scott Coker is about to win, and just wait until somebody like John Jones becomes a free agent. You got a company like Viacom that could throw him the world.
Right, definitely. No, yeah, that'll be an interesting time. Definitely.
Think about it. Prior to John Jones' troubles, never heard him say nothing bad about UFC, blah, 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 blah. But when he started getting his troubles, now all of a sudden, UFC, got negative shit to say about him. And now he don't have nothing really positive to say about him. He just he got to go in there and do his job, and everything else will take its course. But that doesn't mean he ain't going to remember the whole ass shit that they did when he was going through his stuff. And when it comes time to do negotiations all over again, now it's, fuck you, I'm going to Bellator. And Bellator will get paid out the ass. All them fans are going to follow John Jones to where he's at. So, Scott Coker got his own way of doing things, man. And, regardless of what people may think, Fedor is a draw. My boy is a draw. And that's proven. You know what I'm saying? Numbers don't lie. My boy do 1 million views when he's fighting on Spike in the main event because he's able to, draw a certain, people may say whatever they want about Mo, but you can't take away, you can't take away that gift. You know what I'm saying? So, Scott Coker is, he ain't far away, man. He ain't far away from tilting this to an even stance, even with not having as many fighters as UFC has. Scott had this, I think he's a better promoter than Dana. Dana may have the bigger names, but Scott Coker, he He brought Fedor over here first and still got Fedor. You know, Fedor may be older, but don't get it twisted. You get in the cage with him and find out what can happen.
All right, that's about it for this week's edition of Fresh is the Word. Vstylez, tell them where they can find you online.
Hey, yo, you can hit me up on Facebook, my official artist page at facebook.com/official Vstylez, Vstylez. You can hit me on a regular Facebook page, /Vstylez, Vstylez. You also can hit me at Twitter and Instagram with the /Vstylez, Vstylez.
Fresh is the word.